where we are going from 1960 to 1979, talking about the top horror movies and top fashion, two of my favorite things. So, welcome to 1975. Now, the Rubik's Cube was invented, Jaws hit movie theaters, and legendary albums like Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run were released. It's the year 1975, and let's get into it. Now, what we do here on this series is we talk about the fashion of 1975, the style trends, the top icons, and then we also talk about the top horror movies and what the horror climate was like in 1975. So, if you're new here, my name is Ashley, and I'm a lover of all things 60s and 70s, the fashion, the movies, specifically the horror movies, music, TV, and everything in between, just not the values. So if that's something you're into, stick around and hit subscribe. Now, let's get into the year 1975. Now, the fashion of 1975, it was a mix. So let me underline a mix. It was all about casual denim, prairie dresses, and disco. Now, what were the key trends, you ask? Well, denim was huge. I'm talking high waisted, flared cuts, and below the knee denim skirts were all the rage. Also, super popular were prairie and peasant styles, blouses, maxi dresses, things with lace collars, specifically the brand Gunny Sacks were highly sought after. Now, Gunny Sacks, if you know vintage, you probably know what it is and absolutely love it. And it definitely is a victory item if you find it and it fits you. Now, Gunny Sacks was an influential San Francisco label founded in 1967. They have beautiful dresses that are prairie Victorian inspired and often have lace ruffles and gorgeous floral patterns. They are vintage pieces that are highly sought after, and not only then, but also today. Now, something that was also popular were jumpsuits and tracksuits. Sporty and comfy, and of course, stylish. I love a good jumpsuit. Also, tailored separates were starting to become popular because women were entering the workforce with style. And lastly, glam and disco. Not maybe my favorite, but it was all about shimmering fabrics, halter tops, and of course, evening wear. That was often heavily influenced by places like Studio 54 and nightlife in the nightclubs. Also, we got to have an honorable mention for wrap dresses that were extremely popular in 1974, but were still on the fashion radar in 1975. Now, as for style icons in 1975, we have Cher. Cher was a icon. Cher is and always will be an icon in style. She had a classic disco 70s aesthetic in 1975, and she was often known for sheer fabrics, beaded cutout gowns, and of course, sequin jumpsuits. Next on the list is Diana Ross, who's been holding strong on our style icon list in the 70s. She was all about high fashion, period. Silk gowns, big curls, and floor length furs. Then we have Farrah Fawcett. Before she became famous on Charlie's Angels, she was known for her more casual, athletic look, known for wearing high waisted jeans, ruffled boho blouses, and of course, her famous hairstyle. Jackie Kennedy Onassis is back on the list from the 60s. The reason? It was a photo that was taken in New York City with her wearing the iconic Jackie O large sunglasses. Still an icon. Then we have Audrey Hepburn, who was also, of course, on our list in the 60s. One word, elegance. She was all about classic, clean, tailored looks, and she had a refined style that balanced the more extreme trends of the decade. And of course, freaking Stevie Nicks. She had a bohemian aesthetic with lace shawls and dark, magical influence in music and fashion. And when you think 70s, she definitely is someone that like automatically comes to mind. And she's still a style icon today. Now, the fashion climate was wild with new trends making the way through the scene, and so was horror. Horror was making waves as well. Let's take a look at the horror in 1975. It was all about the summer blockbuster in the year 1975, bridging the gritty atmosphere of the early 70s with high concept scares. What was the top horror of 1975? Well, if you already guessed it, I said it in the beginning. The ultimate summer blockbuster, the one that started it all, Jaws. This is by far still one of my favorite movies. Kind of obsessed with it. I will spend hours on rabbit holes of how it was made and all the sequels, even though the sequels don't hold up to this classic. Now, what was Jaws about? When a young woman is killed by a shark while skinny dipping near the New England tourist town of Amity Island, police chief Martin Brody wants to close the beaches, but the mayor, Larry Vaughn, overrules him because he fears the loss of tourist revenue. Now, Matt Hooper, who is a marine biologist, and an eccentric ship captain, Quint, offer to help Brody capture the killer beast. And the trio are off on an epic adventure that ends in a battle of man versus nature. Dun, dun, dun. Literally, dun, dun, dun. Now, this is just an amazing movie. Some people don't consider it a horror movie, but I'm like, what would you consider it then? It really puts the fear of the ocean in you. And honestly, the shark isn't even really seen until the last part of the movie, which is crazy that it is that scary without even seeing the shark. But again, it's what you think about and what's under the water rather than actually seeing the shark. So, if you've never seen Jaws, I don't know what you're waiting for. And it's summer. Check it out. The next one is one I've also featured on my 60s and 70s horror film and fashion series, and that is The Stepford Wives. It is a sci fi movie, definitely, but also horror too. It has a little bit of a twist and an underlying message. Now, this story really is about how men were fearing how much women were, you know, trying to have more rights. The men were trying to kind of suppress the women a little bit. And this is all about women's lib, really. And I love that. I think it's a great film. It definitely, the ending was like a shocker to me. And if you've never seen it, definitely check it out. The fashion's great too. Now, what is this movie about? It's about Joanna, who moves to a quiet town of Stepford with her husband and children. The town seems perfect, maybe a little too perfect. And there's something not quite right with the women in the town. They're vapid, they're devoted to housework, and completely subservient to their husbands. Joanna teams up with another recent transplant, Bobby, to investigate the mystery of the Stepford wives, and they make a horrific discovery. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it is pretty horrific and kind of a crazy ending. Now, the last one on the list is Deep Red. And this is by Dario Argentino, who also made another amazing 70s horror film, and that is Suspiria, which doesn't come for a couple more years. It follows a jazz pianist investigating a gruesome string of murders, celebrated for its stylish visuals and progressive score. And really, that's what Dario is known for, the visuals, but also the score. And you see that in his movie Suspiria as well. So honestly, I just love visuals in his movies, and the music just adds to it. So if you have never seen one of Dario Argentino's movies and you love horror, definitely check them out. So, what is the plot of the film? A psychic medium is brutally murdered, and a musician, Marcus, feels the need to solve the case, since he was the only one who discovered the body. Working with him is a reporter, Gianna, who, hope, who hopes for a big scoop by solving the case. When one of Marcus's own friends ends up murdered at the hands of the same killer, the resourceful pair realize they must work fast to uncover the murderer's identity, or they might serve as the maniac's next victim. Make sure you check that one out. Now, I did have to do an honorable mention here for Rocky Horror. Now, this, yes, most people don't consider a horror, more of a musical and sci fi, but it's kind of in the horror genre. It has horror in the name. But I had to mention this cult classic. If you've never seen it, it is the best. I recommend going to a show where you can dress up and actually interact with the film. That's the best part. But I couldn't not mention 1975 in horror and not mention Rocky Horror. Now, overall, 1975 was a year of change, with fashion taking a turn into more bold, eccentric looks and horror broadening its horizon with sci fi films and summer blockbusters. It was a big year of change, and shifts were about to come in 1976. Make sure you stay tuned for the next year. but also make sure you subscribe if you love 60s and 70s content, as well as horror movies and fashion. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and share if you know someone that would love it, and I will see you next time.